Roseman went into the offseason saying he wants this roster to get younger. The Eagles had, I think, the third oldest roster last year, and maybe that is one reason why they have been so injured these last 2 years is because of the age on that roster. So, he wanted to get younger. He also parted ways with Jason Peters. He decided a couple weeks ago he wasn't bringing back the 38-year-old left tackle, and Peters is still on the market. So, his goal was to get younger. And Jenkins, as much as they would have liked to have kept him, I understand they just wanted to give him more money in a one-year deal, but he wanted a longer-term deal and more money. And they just couldn't come to an agreement. So he left, and it's going to leave a big hole, not only on the field, but in the locker room. He was the leader in that locker room, and he was always a guy there that was there you could go and talk to as a media member, and he would tell it like it is. He didn't sugarcoat anything. So he's going to be missed on so many levels, and you just can't replace somebody like that. You talk about replacing Brady in New England at quarterback. Now, that's a bigger deal, but who replaces Malcolm Jenkins at that strong safety spot? Because, he didn't play just safety. He played slot corner. He played linebacker at times. I mean, he was a very versatile, reliable player. So who's going to do that? They re-signed Jalen Mills, who was a cornerback. They're going to try to transition him to safety. He played safety at LSU, but that was in college. This is the pros. And then who's going to step up in the locker room? Carson Wentz, I think, he's got to take a bit more of an active role as a leader inside that locker room. But on defense, it's still Fletcher Cox, who's also getting up there in age. But there was nobody like Malcolm. I mean, he told it like it is. He was never afraid to tell his teammates like it was. I think back to when DeMarco Murray, when the Eagles signed DeMarco Murray, and he was taking a day off in training camp. It was like the third day, and he said he was just, that was just kind of a day of rest. And so Murray standing there, and during training camp, Jenkins leaves the field, goes over to one of the VIP tents and grabs a chair and brings it out to the sidelines and points to Murray and says, "Here, have a seat. If you're going to take a day off here, why don't you sit down and really rest?" That's the kind of leader he was. Like, he's not afraid to call out his teammates, and Murray was embarrassed by that, and the fans loved it. So, that's the kind of player and that's the kind of person Jenkins was, and he's really going to be missed on a lot of levels in Philadelphia.
I loved your tweet that said the Eagles continue to play the safety dance or something along that, and I thought I need to find that song. You ever heard that song, Safety Dance?
Oh, of course, SSAAF. They spell it out, right? Don't they spell out the safety in the song?
Yeah, I should have lined that up.
Yeah,
I do not know.
I don't even remember who performed that.
We'll get it up on social media in your honor. Let's talk a little bit about as we move into the draft. We talked some about who the Colts might look at and possibly as a quarterback. Let's stay with the Eagles. The Eagles, I think, have pick 15 in round one at the current situation, and it doesn't look like they're going to be changing the draft day or time or anything like that. A lot of people in the mock drafts are talking about the Eagles picking up Henry Ruggs, the third from Alabama, wide receiver in your round one pick 15. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the Eagles picked 21, which if they were at pick 15, they would certainly grab Ruggs, but they're at 21. So
they're at 21. I guess I had the wrong information there. Okay, my fault. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the Broncos picked 15, and they could use a wide receiver for sure. I mean, they just need a wide receiver, but I'm not sure Ruggs or there's those big three receivers out there: Judy, Ruggs, and C.D. Lamb, and gosh, I don't know. I know the Colts trading out of that pick at, 13 or 14? I thought maybe the Colts could take a receiver at that spot, but now the Colts aren't in play, and the Niners are, and I guess they could take a receiver. But at any rate, I don't know if Ruggs, Judy, or Lamb will be there at 21. I just don't. And for the Eagles, if they want to get, to assure themselves of getting Ruggs, who I do know they really like, they love his speed, they love his versatility. If they want him, they may have to trade up, and then how high do you have to trade up to get him? I mean, that's going to be a fluid situation on draft night to see how the board starts to unfold. And Could they possibly trade with the 49ers? I don't know they have many picks after the first round. They have 2 in the first round, but then they have nothing until the 5th round, I don't believe. So, could you try to move up with the Niners and trade some of your picks? I don't know. And here's the problem now with doing that is the Eagles had 10 picks when free agency started. They're now left with 8 picks after trading 2 away to acquire Darius Slay from Detroit. So I know Howie wants his draft picks. He's only made 5 picks in each of the last 2 years, and he's talked all offseason about how valuable it is to have as many picks as possible because it increases your hit rate. The more picks you make, the better chances you have of hitting on somebody. So, I don't know if he's going to want to delve into that stash any deeper and bring that count down to 6 or 7 or even 5. If that's what it would take to trade up. I'm not sure he's going to want to do that. So the depth of this wide receiver class, though, is such that if you stay at 21, you can still find a very good receiver if that's the way you want to go. I mean, Justin Jefferson is somebody that has been mentioned with the Eagles. Denzel Mims. I mean, there's a lot of guys, and you could even find guys in the 2nd round. So the way the Eagles and free agency is playing out here, they haven't addressed that receiver position. They need receivers. We all saw last year that they were playing with a no-name cast, the guys that were just called up from the practice squad. So Alshon Jeffrey's hurt. Who knows when he's going to be able to play? Who's even sure if he's still going to be on the team? But they need receivers. So I suspect that the Eagles will spend at least 2 and maybe 3 picks in the draft to get a wide receiver.
Well, certainly the Eagles are favored to trade up to increase their offensive power as well as the Chargers and others. Let's talk about we talked about Tom Brady. That's one of the biggest stories of the free agency. Phillip Rivers going to the Colts. That's the big story of the free agency. But I think one of the biggest stories I thought, which was a surprise to me, especially where he ended up at, and that was Stephon Diggs going to the Buffalo Bills. So what do you know about that? That seemed like a kind of an odd mismatch, if you will.
Yeah, Diggs was available for people to trade for him, and now the Bills went and they gave up their first-round pick for him. And he's young. I think he's only 26 years old. But, we'll see how much he was kind of a distraction last year in Minnesota a little bit. But, boy, there's no questioning his talent and his ability. And, you mentioned him going to the Buffalo Bills. I mean, and with the Patriots now needing a quarterback or a big question mark at the quarterback, you look at what the Bills did, getting Diggs, and they made some other moves that escape me right now, but they've done some good things here in free agency. You wonder if now they're going to be the team that kind of takes over the AFC East. But Diggs is certainly talented, and I'm not sure the Eagles would have been in on him. I'm not sure he would have been a locker room fit in Philadelphia, and that's why the Eagles didn't get involved. But you could also throw DeAndre Hopkins in there, getting traded from the Texans to the Cardinals. That was kind of a surprise, and the Eagles
which Colts fans are completely okay with, by the way. Just putting that out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. You look at what the AFC South has done. I mean, the Colts certainly are right in the mix. Now. I mean, they were in the playoffs 2 years ago, and now they have a quarterback in Rivers who, certainly played at a high level most of his career, a veteran guy. The Colts certainly could win that division. There's, the Texans, who knows what they're doing. Trading DeAndre Hopkins was huge. And only to get a running back in return and not even get a first-round pick back. I mean, that was kind of shocking in its own right. So, you saw 2 really good receivers kind of switch teams here. And even Emmanuel Sanders late Friday night signing with the New Orleans Saints from San Francisco. You have some receivers now kind of on the move. But, yeah, that certainly makes the Bills better. It helps the Cardinals for sure. And then the Saints, So it's, this is always a fun time of year to see who goes where, and there's always some surprises. And I think Diggs and Hopkins are 2 of the biggest. And Brady.
Yeah.
Of course.
Brady, of course. What about the trade with San Francisco that the Colts did? I thought that was a good pickup, and why do I have a brain fart? I was just talking about
DeForest
Buckner, the
right.
Colts. I think that was a very good strategic work with them. What are your thoughts on that, real quickly? And we'll get to some of these other thumbs up and thumbs down things with the NFL free agencies. But go ahead.
Well, did you start making your sign yet for the first Colts home game? Run, DeForest, run. I don't know. Maybe you should start working on that during this quarantine period. Give me something to do. Break
that's
out.
Good. That's great. Absolutely. I mean, I think that's a great, a good pickup for the Colts.
Well, I'm of the philosophy, and it's similar to the Eagles, and you build with the lines. And the Colts have a great offensive line, and they needed help on the defensive line, and DeForest Buckner is going to give them that. I mean, he's a great pass rusher, disruptor. He can stop the run. I mean, he's a 3-down defensive tackle, and certainly worth the giving up the number 1 pick and then signing him to that big contract. He's young. He's going to help that Colts defense, and that's exactly what they needed. They needed to address that defensive line, and they did it in a big way. I mean, I love the deal. The fact he had to give up a number 1, that's okay. I mean, it's certainly worth it. He was a number 1 pick when he came into the league, and he's played to that level, so I don't have a problem with it. It's going to help the Colts immensely.
So, compiling the list of free agency stuff that we know, and I don't have time to go to all of them, but you've probably seen the poop emoji on your phone. It's like a little turd. So if we could put a poop emoji on some of the NFL drafts that's happened so far. Let's start with Melvin Gordon, running back for the Denver Broncos. The deal is 2 years, $16 million. Not quite the $10 million per offer that Gordon reportedly turned down from the Chargers around about the time it was sold out, but with $13.5 million guaranteed, it's likely to see the full $16 million from this deal. Melvin Gordon, running back, Denver Broncos, gets the poop emoji.
Well, with the shortage of toilet paper, I don't know if we should be using poop emojis, but I think Melvin Gordon has some proving to do. I mean, he kind of was unhappy last year. He came in, didn't play up to his ability, I don't think, because he was unhappy. So, he really has to kind of show that, he was the player he was 2 years ago. And what I like about it, probably wouldn't give it a poop emoji because of this, is that he's going to have to play the Chargers now twice a year because they're in the same division. So, he's going to come in, he's going to have some things to prove, and he's going to have to prove it. And I think he will, especially because he'll be really motivated to play the Chargers twice a year.
I don't know that this quite gets the poop emoji, but it's certainly close. Todd Gurley, running back now for the Atlanta Falcons, 1 year deal, $6 million. It barely doesn't get the poop emoji.
Well, see, here, I'm going to give it the poop emoji because I think his knees are shot. I mean, I know he's 25 or 26 years old, but, to me, he's just not the same player that he was. And, the Falcons are bringing him home. He went to the University of Georgia, so he's coming home to Atlanta. But I just don't know if physically he's the same player. I mean, we saw it in Philadelphia with Jay Ajayi. When those knees go, man, they go. The Eagles brought him back this year, and he was just slow, and he didn't hit the holes fast enough. And he lasted, I think, 4 games, and they cut him again. So when those knees go, they go. And I think Gurley's knees or if they're not going now, they're on their way out in a hurry.
Well, we're about to come to the end of our abbreviated show. Joining us now is Ed Kracz, beat writer for the Philadelphia Eagles and SI.com, our official NFL contributor. Let's talk about that Lions trade, Darius Slay. They trade to the Eagles, Darius Slay to the Eagles. So what are your thoughts on that, cornerback?
Well, from the Lions perspective, they had signed Desmond Trufant, I think, the day before after the Falcons cut him. And Trufant's a little bit older. I don't think he's as good as Slay. Slay had a bit of a down year last year, but he's made each of the last 3 seasons. I think he's one of the best 5 cornerbacks in the NFL. He's 29 now, so you'll see. You hope that he's not on the downslide here. The Eagles signed him to a 3-year deal, which is pretty manageable. I know they were in with Byron Jones. The Eagles were, but they didn't want to go 5 years on Byron Jones. They didn't want to commit that much in terms of service to one player. So They had to give up, like I said, two of their picks, the third rounder and the fifth rounder, a third and a fifth. The Eagles already had two picks in each of those rounds